Good morning and welcome to today's live show. I just wanted to pop up volatility here because we did see that pop up overnight, and this happens usually around 2 a.m. You're always going to see if this move is actually going to happen, just so you're aware. The thing we need to pay attention to as well is the fact that the dollar is still consolidating. Volatility has turned up and the SPY has seen that drop this morning. Now, this actually does matter because I really want to see some structure heading higher, and I actually think that this would make some good structure, and this really starts to matter. Okay, these lows down in here really start to matter because as you have reacted up to these levels, anywhere in here you can really see that cup or that cups and handle really form, right? The handle start to form. So the fact that we have reacted up to that level, a handle here would be a good thing. The only thing we're talking about is we don't want that handle to be too deep, right? We don't want that to cut this low. So that's going to be key. We do not want to see these 2-hour charts flip down. So in order for those not to flip down, we're going to be paying attention mostly to the 30-minute chart, mostly to the SPY. We can see a very similar look from the Qs where we have this little dip down. You see that overall cup here. If not, the cup already formed here and this was the handle to break out. Well, we might need a little bit more consolidation in this area before we curl up into positive territory. So some key things to look out for today are if those 30 minutes actually do cross. They have crossed on the 2-hour in the futures market, just so you are aware. And volatility has turned up. The thing about volatility, why this actually could be a bullish look for the market and a signal to pay attention to for bullish things, right? This is turned up, so we have to be aware that a big drop can happen. But if this is going to remain bullish, this is actually a signal we're going to see, right? We're going to see some interesting stuff here, which is you do have the divergence still holding pretty flat here for the RSI, not necessarily on the MACD. And then you do have a 2-hour divergence right here, which could roll down a daily chart, which means we could actually experience some kind of squeeze, okay? So we'll pay attention if that 2-hour is able to cross down. The likelihood of crossing this daily MACD does increase. Now, there is something I need to take care of on some other charts for a moment this morning, but welcome, welcome, welcome. We're just going to leave it on the SPY while we see what's going on this morning. Let me just update some things here. Oh, and I was going to turn the camera on. I will do that. Yeah, we'll do it. Let me do it. I'm not fully set up. Gosh, good morning. This drop matters. Yeah, and it's just because this drop matters because volatility's turned up on the daily scale. So you just have to see if that's going to ramp up. For the most part, though, it's really starting to look like and I'll show you why. This matters because you have a 30-minute crossing. You're holding now above 20, and you have the daily crossed up. Okay, so since the daily's crossed up, you're above all the moving averages, you do have that opportunity for that to take over. That's why it kind of matters. But there is good structure that can form here. And if we go look at the futures market, you're going to like this look a little bit more, I think, on the futures, right? We posted this to Patreon. Look at this look. You have this over here, nice left. You reacted almost to that level. Maybe you still need to react there and you'll see some resistance. But for the most part, you would say, hey, this 2-hour has crossed in the futures. So if that wants to carve out a right shoulder, that would make some sense. So I'd be paying attention to this drop on the 30 minutes, seeing if that can swing around. Something that can really help us out is seeing that 2-hour signal in the futures market, right? So that's why I'm paying attention to it. It does matter because if you start to chop below this low, if you get rid of those divergences, you turn back down, and then maybe you react off that, right? Maybe you do something like this. You curl down to this area where you can form another cup, right? We come down to that area, we react up, we hit the breakdown area, and boom, we head to the downside. So that's why I'd be paying attention to it. That's going to be more something to pay attention to throughout the entire week. That would tell us, hey, there's going to be some kind of bigger drop before CPI. But in the meantime, we can just pay attention to a little 30-minute chart, right? We can just see the 30-minute for volatility. We can see if that rolls over. 2-hour for volatility. We see if that rolls over. SPY, we see if the 30-minute rolls over. That's why I'm paying attention to it. All right, let me go update some stuff on some charts. I'm going to leave you guys on the SPY. I am still here. Don't get it twisted. I'll put up the cam today so you guys know I'm still here. Where the heck is my cam? Take that ding, beat, not I gotta take that ding, yeah. How is everyone's morning going? Everyone doing good out there? I hope so. RIP to Tesla. A lot of things showing some downside. There we go. Turn this on, that way you guys know that I'm here. Don't want you guys to think I left you. I would never. I would never. All right, let me go fix some stuff over on these charts. So that is 83.56. So let's just see what develops this morning. Keep your eye on some stuff for me. I'm just checking out some of these. Got to get those weekly expected moves over on Patreon on all my charts. I wasn't able to do that. I went to Tanganyika yesterday. I went to a private zoo, and it was amazing. It really shows you the difference between a private and a public zoo. It's so much cleaner. The animals are treated so much better. It's insane how cool it was. Usually I do this the night before, but I'm a little behind. But I think I have time as this develops. The key thing is going to be if this 30-minute crosses. By the way, this hasn't crossed. The 2-hour has for the futures, so that's something to pay attention to, but a reaction down to this area would make some sense. Obviously, on the 2-hour, the most likely thing is to hold up in these areas and just cross up, right? Go up to the upside expected move. Keeping it simple. That right? Did I do that right? Yeah, I did. Alrighty. Oh yeah, let me take a look over here. Alright, and Apple is... Expected a bigger move for Apple. Looks like you can maybe do a cup and handle with that weekly range. We'll see. And okay. Kind of interesting because the SPY and the Q's kind of shrunk in their implied volatility. While other stocks are actually seeing them spread out a little bit. Just certain ones, pretty much, like just select ones are actually spreading out a little bit for those individual stocks. Ooh, Tesla, gosh, dang, I'm gonna go peek at that real quick. Okay, Tesla not really doing too much. Still, like look at the structure, right? So we even see this over here, left head, right shoulder, breakthrough. We can get a reaction probably up towards 260. I think that's kind of what you're looking for at that point. Actually, even a reaction up to here. I think you really want to see if you're really want to get bullish. You want that reaction all the way up to here. Really carve out that cup handle right on the bigger time frames. If we're going to head down, 30-minute divergence looks pretty likely. But we'll see if that can hold up better for a head and shoulders first, right? Volatility is not playing around today, up 9.38%. Okay, what's next? Amazon, oh, Amazon, okay, Amazon curling down here. 30-minute divergence down here would be something to pay attention to. Down by a weekly expected move, that's why we have them on Patreon, right? Just getting all this set up for the week. Can't believe I didn't do this yesterday. But I was so tired. We were there for like 6 hours. It was so much fun. Mm-hmm. Let's see here. Ooh, Tesla seeing major upside though. 62. That is. Interesting. Tesla, or I mean, Nvidia just seeing a big bounce here. What's that guy doing? Whoa. Maybe it's going to make a cup and handle with that high. That would be cool. You really would like structure here to remain healthy. I actually don't like this look. As the SPY hasn't really carved out that shoulder. I don't really like that from Nvidia as far as a trade setup goes. All right, we got that one. AMD still showing some 30-minute divergence. Well, actually, hourly is more what it looks like. Sorry, not 30-minute. Hourly divergence, 2-hour divergence, 2-hour divergence for AMD. You go look at that. You can see it right there. Which would say if that crosses down, more likely to go to a lower expected move. Oh, quiet, Tobes. Let me, old man likes to bark, so I might take him upstairs real quick. We'll see. Yeah, let me take him upstairs real quick and then I'll finish this up. Be right back, 2 seconds, guys. 2 seconds, let me let the old man up. All right, we are back in action. All right, let me just finish these up real quick. Paying attention to something like this, I think first of all, though, we like the SPY, so I think leaving it here is good, but we can see some trade setups with even AMD there on the 2-hour. And then you got to watch out for a bounce around that weekly expected move, right? If I have a shorter option or something like that, if I don't have many contracts, might want to trade it back and forth, you know? Oh, wrong thing. All right, let's look at Meta. Meta with a 2-hour divergence, not on the RSI really at the same time. We go check that out. Has a screaming move higher. Not really at the same time though. If I hold that across, it's starting to violate that. We'll see how this bar produces, right? It's the close of the bar, so you still have a lot of time. Okay. Meta. Okay, oof. That's a pretty good move. Actually, not the biggest, but dang, even if that 2-hour confirmed, you'd be testing a pretty much a weekly expected move for Meta. Do TLT. TLT's been interesting. It's been falling off a cliff ever since that 2-hour divergence at the high. If you notice, something cool about TLT, it does play out divergences a lot of the time. And you see 2-hour divergence right there. Daily was able to cross with that, and we've just headed down ever since. This is one trade I was initially in, and then I think I took profit towards a weekly expected move that week. Yeah, back in September. But that's all you got to see, right? Look how this trade played out. This is a fantastic trade right there. Looks good. Put you guys back over on the SPY while I finish this up. See if that still has to cross down. Okay, we got... Right. pretty good amount of volatility for these for TLT. It means those yields could bounce around, which kind of makes sense. We have CPI. Microsoft, are you going to make a 30-minute divergence here? Looks like Microsoft might. Let me plug those numbers in to see how low that can go first. That would be too low. If we react to the downward expected move for something like Microsoft, that would be too low. So you don't necessarily want Microsoft to go down too far here, but that 30 minutes crossing saying downside, if you're going to go to the weekly expected move for something like Microsoft, you're most likely not going to see a 30-minute divergence. So you're kind of hoping it holds this tapering in some way, right? Gives you that divergence point. That's what I would be looking for. That's what I'm looking for pretty much right now. Seeing if things can form those divergences on these individual stocks can really help me out. Go to Google. Google looks pretty toppy with that move. We'll see. How much volatility does this have in? Pretty good amount of volatility as well. Decent amount. Oh, okay, so for Google, something interesting here is a reaction down to this level would make a lot of sense this week. And what that would form for you is if we can break down to these levels, get that bounce, you'd see on the bigger time frames it'll be a little clearer, but left head, right shoulder. Continue the negative trend on the second push down. We'll see if that even crosses down though, right? We got to cross down. Divergences are all across Google, so Google's looking a little toppy to me. Let's see, next one. AMC showing a bunch of little divergences there. Get it up on gold, GLD that is. Oh wait, no, let's go in order here. IWM, which I can give you guys the weeklies for IWM in a moment. Yeah, Google, not looking good there. See if that crosses on a 30. Not the best look. I was wondering why volatility was like, hey, I'm crossed up on the daily and I can cross up on the 30-minute here. And there you go, big gap up for volatility. Like a 10% gap up, actually. Ooh. Wasabi, thank you so much for subscribing. Welcome to the channel, and thank you guys so much for liking. It really does help new people get in here, and hopefully they can learn a little bit on this channel. That's the overall goal. But thank you so much for subscribing. Really appreciate it. Almost done, guys. Don't worry, I'm almost done. I'll just say the IWM ones, 225.31 to the upside. We'll put that on the other charts in a second. Then you have 212.99 to the downside. Not the biggest move for IWM this week, but makes sense. I mean, indices don't see the most massive moves. Go do Palantirs. I need to do Palantirs ranges. That one's seeing some weakness, right? For the overall 30-minute, I would say pullback. Got to see if that's crossing down on a 2-hour. That's going to be the big thing with Palantir. Let's talk about that for a second while so I can give you guys something to look at while I look at putting up those ranges on my chart. 30-minute is just saying pullback, right? So pullback, pullback, pullback. So the higher probable thing here is to curl down and then see some kind of move up, or if you curl down too deep, see some kind of lower high. But for the most part, positivity, you want that reversal signal for an easy trade setup. So the setup I would be looking for is something like this, right? Then you see that tapering to the upside, then you curl down. The reason you're looking for something like that is the 2 hour. 2 hour, if we just react maybe even just down to here, you most likely won't be able to cross that fully, but you notice the divergence. I just want you to see that all the way across, boom, like that. All the way across. If we're getting rid of this, right, if this divergence is just going to make another one, then that 30-minute will curl up, you'll see more positivity, and then you might go make one in the future. But for now, that's the most probable thing in my mind. So just watch out if this 2 hour crosses over, but I think you got a chance for a 30-minute to curl back up. See just a little bit more positivity. Little sell signal coming in on my other charts, though, for Palantir. Okay, let's update those ranges. Put you guys back over on the SPY real quick. Got to see if 2 hours rolled down. Oof. Kind of just like sitting now, aren't we? All right. Palantir, what's your number? Remember, you guys can get these ranges that I'm putting on my charts. I use them every single week. You can get those down in the description. Patreon is right down there. And we gotta do, now we'll do gold, GLD. Yeah, I think for Palantir, though, for this 30-minute drop, I'd really be looking at this level of like 38.18. I think 38.18 looks pretty good there. If you break like 38.18 and 37.90, that's going to be a little rough for Palantir. Let's go see. I'm going to go look if, as I update gold, I'm going to look if anything is there. Looks like consolidation. Watch for a little 2 hour curl up for gold. If you go look at gold, a continuation would make a lot of sense here. See the 30 minutes, see that flagging, really flagging out here. 2 hour for gold. If that 2 hour rotates up, simple 2 hour swing trade, watch out for divergences. That's why we have a weekly expected move. Very, very useful. Oh, whoa, that was not the number. That is not it. We got... Okay, yeah, watch out. If we see gold curl up, divergence would be a good thing to pay attention to. And then DIA. The Dow really wanted to curl up here. Let's just look at the Dow. Not a 4 hour. Yeah, 4 hour curl up, yeah, okay, but I think the 2 hour curling up right now, that's what I want to pay attention to. And that's where you just say, like, right, a 30-minute curl up, that would make sense. But look at the structure here. Left, head, right shoulder. That pretty much would beeline you towards a weekly expected move. And I think the area you really want to get to for that setup for more downside is right there. You really solidify the cup, get a little handle, and then see what happens with that continuation. I think that's what I'd be looking for from something like the Dow. But DIA, let's see here. I usually enjoy my time where I put these up because I just blast tunes. All right, this is the last one. Wait, did I get that right? Nope, I did not. Usually I have them on 2 screens so I don't have to click back and forth. That's the annoying part. Yeah, I think that low is going to be very important for the Dow. This little bundle in here is very important. You see, I mean, this little box, if you just draw yourself a little box, you'd say anywhere in this area would be relatively important. That's pretty much the area where you could get a bounce, and then you want to see if it's creating that handle. That's what it looks like to me. All right, now I want to click through the ranges on a 30-minute, right? Something that I like to do, a good habit of mine, is just like looking at a 30-minute, seeing if there's any kind of 30-minute signal I'm looking for. And if I do see a 30-minute signal somewhere, I'm pretty much going, hey, okay, is there a 2-hour signal behind it as well? So 30-minute for the SPY, not necessarily a 2-hour signal behind it. Let me see. Yeah, 2-hour signal falls though. That's not going to be a good thing. Pretty much lower high, if not some kind of double top almost. But 30-minute rotates down. We could make a divergence still at that level, that weekly expected move. If we go look at the SPY real quick, you'll see that the 2-hour crossing is not a good thing. But if the 30-minute can cross and really crosses down, you still might be able to make a divergence in here. So what you're looking for is, do we react all the way down to here, or do we create that divergence by touching the inside the top of the zone, not really able to get there? That's what I'd be looking for, because you would make some form of divergence there. We've already made some. That's why we knew that this thing would bounce, right? Had a higher probability. I guess we never fully know, right? But higher probable move. Let's look at Q. Similar story. Q's never really had that good of divergence. They just had the 15-minute. Q's had the 15-minute here and a little 15-minute here. That was how we kind of saw that, but we kind of used the SPY for that to happen. Volatility now up 10.31%. Let's look at Apple. Apple looking for divergence as well, but you're just consolidating. We're seeing if there's a breakdown or a break up, because Apple kind of gave you the fake out, right? So you're kind of stuck in here. Going to see if we can break through this zone to the downside. Well, curling over the 30-minute would do that. Just watch out and make sure there's no 30-minute divergence down by a weekly expected move. But if you go to the weekly expected move, most likely that divergence will be violated. But you could fill this gap this week, and it would make a lot of sense for Apple. Tesla is one I really want to look for divergence if that's going to see a dramatic drop, right? It's already getting a little dramatic, 2%. So I want to see, is that just going to turn back up, right? Because this is about to cross. So when that crosses, it's really close to negative territory. So you see how it's a little less like probable to just make that right shoulder if this actually crosses. Pretty much you want to be like, did it find the buyers right now, and is it just going to curl up? Because if that crosses, then you're leaning towards filling the gap. And if you keep going down in negative territory, this is pretty much the only saving grace would be some kind of divergence for Tesla down at those levels. Because if you react to a weekly expected move with this, if this 30-minute curls over, you react down to the downward expected move for Tesla, you're going to violate divergences. Oh, shoot. I got to drink my coffee. I always do this. I start working, I forget I have coffee, and then it starts to get cold. Oh, don't tell her. My wife made coffee this morning. Usually I make coffee. And it's really good, honey. Amazon's one to look out for a divergence for sure. This is one that you can find a good trade setup. So Amazon showing some good stuff there. Let me look at the 2-hour, right? I like to look at the 2-hour divergence could form at the same time. Wow, okay, so Amazon actually showing that divergence pretty early on in the day, going down towards a weekly expected move, just so you're aware. So Amazon's one that I'll be definitely paying attention to, right? We reacted to this level, we tried to cross up, we failed, right? Kind of a fake out. Good thing we were paying attention to the dollar and volatility. Also, what is the dollar doing? The dollar is consolidating, not dropping, consolidating. So people who are running into cash, they're staying in cash. Maybe CPI changes things, we'll have to see. Yeah, Amazon. That does not look like a bad thing, right? Am I seeing that? Is anyone else seeing that? Yeah, we can go take a look real quick at DJT. I don't mind looking at that for a moment. Whoa! Whoa! Curled up on the 2 hour, that's saying, hey, positivity can be had. Let's really look at the structure. We're heading into a previous zone that I thought would be a buy zone, right? We saw the buyers in it. We tried to take it back really quickly. I think I still like this zone. Remember, these zones, once you get through them to the downside, they can turn into sell zones. So if we get that bigger reaction, even right now, this would make a lot of sense, right? We react down, curl back up, then we break through, retest. Kind of use this as a breakout area up here with those wicks, because that was another breakdown area. So you break through that, be a pretty good thing. What is that number? It's pretty much the top of our zone. Now that's very overbought, so unless you're going to see something crazy, 30-minute curl down would make sense. What's the daily look like? Daily, kind of violating the divergences there, but holding pretty strong on the MACD, so that's some basing out signals. If you can fight through this zone, get above that 50, you might see a reaction back all the way up to maybe 28.75 actually. Right? I think you got to get through some levels here, like 25, like 1950, 1960. But yeah, pretty cool. 2 hour curl up, pretty good stuff there. I mean, if this is going to play out, if this was the structure already, right? If this is some kind of cup and handle with this consolidation in here, I'd try to take it a little short on that. Let's take that measured move a little short there. So yeah, it looks like breakout could happen, right? Breakout, and then maybe this is where you retest with that measured move, and then see if you can curl back up into positive territory. I don't mind it though. Well, the reason that they don't want IDs to vote is because they know that they're going to lose at this point. I'm not gonna lie. Like it's like it's going to be very hard for Kamala to win at this point. And all she had to do was react to the North Carolina thing well, and she did the opposite. So that's just my opinion, at least how I see it. I think if she reacted well there, I think she had a good shot of winning this thing. But because she reacted very poorly, she actually dug herself a hole. I actually thought it was pretty tight before then. And then, yeah, you dug yourself a hole there. So interested to see what happens. But at the end of the day, I'm just going to take care of myself, you know, watch the fireworks. But at the same time, no ID makes no sense. And then the fact, like, this is something that's pissed me off for a long time, ever since I started voting. The fact that white people come out and say that black people struggle to get IDs is, like, I can't believe people say that. That is, they say, like, oh, they can't figure it out. Oh, they don't have the ability to get there. Oh, they don't have the $55 to get the ID initially or whatever. That's super offensive. Like, that's really offensive. And then I love the times where people go ask that. I just think that's super offensive. Yeah, that's all I would say. I'm not trying to talk too much about election stuff. I think there's going to be craziness that most likely ensues. I hope it doesn't. But we are seeing crash signals before an election, so take that with a grain of salt. One thing that I know is my cop buddy has connections to feds, and his federal agent buddy says, you know, watch out, because this whole hurricane thing might have been manufactured in some way, or the reaction to it was to make it so certain states have a hard time voting. That's all that was said, though. I mean, that comes from someone that works in the federal government. My buddy wanted to be a Secret Service agent. He did all of it. It was crazy. It's cool. But yeah, I think that's going to be a big problem. But it is what it is. Swivel seat? That'd be cool. I'm down. Yeah, it's a pretty solid move. Very hard to catch, though, if you're playing like 2 hour swings. And not the best signals at the low. So this is kind of a V-shape. So don't beat yourself up if you didn't see this from DJT. The main thing was just like, hey, the daily crossed up. Okay, daily crossed up. We have some divergences on the MACD. That tells you, hey, this could be more likely to be a bounce than some kind of reversal in trend. So That's what so I wouldn't beat myself up too much, but you know, sometimes the daily scale is probably the best one to take a look at a lot of the time. All right, let me finish clicking through here. Yeah, see Amazon already near the weekly expected move, giving some divergence point down here. I just want you to see this. You know, I know everyone wants me to look at a ton of other stuff, but for the most part, there might be something here if this can turn back up on a 30-minute. Now, hasn't done it yet, but it is something to watch. And okay, and volatility might subside for a little bit here. We're seeing that get pretty close to crossing on a 30-minute, but didn't really get over. I think if you really think volatility is going to come, I don't think you want this 30-minute to roll. So even if you get a 30-minute pullback here, most likely it does cross down that 2-hour, which would not be the absolute best sign. Seeing the dollar make a certain move here. Just going to do that. Dollar kind of coming down as the market is down, just so you're aware. PCC going a little bit in the middle here. Sorry, I have to itch my finger. It's my ring finger. Ouch. So yeah, I'd really be looking. If this 30-minute crosses down, it's not the best sign. Let's look at UVXI. How high up is that holding? Yeah, volatility crosses down that 30-minute. I don't think it's the absolute best look, but this looks like a decent look if that can cross back up. That would lead me to believe maybe Amazon heads higher. So if I'm seeing a signal like this, and I also see volatility turn down, that could mean we're actually going to see some upside. So maybe this is going to be just that small handle. And I think the better way to really just see it, not necessarily trade it, but just to see it, is to look at that 2-hour for the futures here, because if in the futures you can really see how we dipped down. You can really see how we went down almost to an even low for that structure to head higher. So we'll see. Next 2-hour. Let me look at this real quick. I mean, it is still holding up pretty well there. See if some things confirm, but yeah, I just think once you see that, let's look at Nvidia too. See, Nvidia looks kind of toppy, but that's breaking out. That looks toppy as well. Microsoft is just going up forever. Actually, I'm sorry, Meta was going up forever. Microsoft looks like a good look now. You see, I was able to hold up at the low. That's divergence. You weren't able to break down to the weekly expected move. Interesting look there for Microsoft. Now, the question is, does that produce a bunch of positivity for the SPY? Does that shoot us up to 577 like today? Amazon hasn't confirmed it. Microsoft hasn't confirmed it. But look how significant that is. That's a good one. Google. See, Google doesn't look the best, but it could head higher. AMC trying to make another divergence point. SMCI really scooping it up at that level. Then I think it was Palantir was the other one. Yeah, Palantir Palantir, if they cross over on the 2-hour, but as the 30 minutes just saying pullback, I would like more of a pullback here to really create a top. I'd like us to get close to that center line. So I'd really like us to pull down, curl back up, curl down, right? Curl down, curl back up to that high, then curl down again. I think that would be the overall trade setup there. There's a trade setup for the 2-hour if it happens, but I like to look for a 2-hour setup. You notice how I did it when I put up my ranges. I look at a 30-minute, look for setups, and then I look at a 2-hour. But on Palantir, you see a 2-hour divergence. So what I'm looking for is weakness in this move from the MACD. We don't necessarily have it. We just have a great move higher. So I'm looking for that to dip lower, give me that weakness signal. That's what I kind of want from Palantir. Gold, just see if that swings up. You SPY. I really like the look of the futures. I know we don't pay attention to them a ton, but I really like this. Even on an hourly, if I go down into that, you can really see how that's just a positive trend. We reacted up towards these levels, right? We didn't fully get there, I would say. I really would like us to get towards this level, but you got high enough to where making a handle here makes sense. Making that structure does overall make sense, because if I probably pull this across in some way, let's take the wick, and I bet it looks a little prettier. Right, it doesn't have to look perfect, but there you go. With the wick, you can see how that's almost your neckline. Does everyone see that? You guys see that? VIX up 9%, what's up with that? Yeah, there were some tiny signals on the 15-minute. I was supposed to mention them on Sunday, but for the most part, I was like, the 30-minute can turn up here for volatility. Volatility, you have to make sure, even on the shorter time frames, it's not turning up. I actually stayed up till 2 a.m. last night, because sometimes I like to see, just for my mental, I like to see what volatility is doing. If you don't know, my time, volatility opens up at 2:10 in the morning. And so that's usually when you'll see some fishy things going on. So we didn't necessarily see a reaction from the dollar, but we did see the reaction from volatility. That's why I actually posted on Patreon why this dip down is very important, because if volatility scales up, its daily is turned up, so you can chop out this low. That's why this drop is very important, because look at volatility. I mean, just look at volatility. Look at that thing. Look at this on the daily. Whoa, if we cross up above this, right, we zoomed out. Consolidation ever since here, I would say February 2022, really just falling, giving, not really consolidation, but really just giving you that trend down. So if you're able to close fully above it, that's not a good sign, and something like a little 30-minute curl up while you're crossed up on a daily is important, right? So as we looked at the futures a little bit here, we can notice that daily has crossed. But as you pull up like an hourly, I think it looks pretty, and I think this is kind of what you're looking for. Also, I don't know why my drawings are the thickest thing on the planet. That's fine, we'll do that. Also, we like blue. There you go. So yeah, this is what I'm looking at. If we can cross through that level, well, what's the measured move take you to? You know, and I did all this last night. So if you do this, you know where that's gonna lead you towards? The weekly expected move if you break out. So that's what it looks like to me. It looks like the SPY actually, if we're going to follow these futures structure, the SPY actually could head to the upside weekly expected move if this structure holds the entire way through. What that would overall look like, at least from maybe today's perspective and tomorrow, is if we can break out and then continue that on Tuesday, right? If we can really break out and continue that, and then we come up to this area, we curl down by Wednesday, Thursday, or retest, we could see something like that. It could take some time to play out. But yeah, that's why this dip is so important. That's why this low is really important, because you see how this did not get up to these areas. This did not test the highs. So this still could all be consolidation to head down. So if we chomp that low, it's not gonna be a good thing, and volatility is popping up by 10%. You see what I'm saying? Meta's crazy overbought. Yeah, it is crazy overbought. There's a 2-hour signal in there for a daily to curl down. Please vote early. You don't know what happens tomorrow. That is very, very true. My buddy actually, you know, that buddy of mine, me and him keep each other in the loop. He's got, you know, some connections in high places. They were actually talking about today. like something bad was supposed to happen today, but they couldn't name what it was. So whenever I hear that, I'm a little skeptical. If you don't know anything and you're just kind of like boogeymanning me, I'm like, But, oh, he and I, sorry. He and I. Yeah, English was never my strong suit. Well, the R&D is paying off. Yeah, and I think that's probably why you're seeing the upside. But it's like, were the insiders in on that move? That's why the stock got pushed up before all that news. And then now are we going to see some kind of pullback to shake some people out before it heads higher? You know, those kinds of things can happen. Microsoft about to bounce off the 200-day, and I think it's got a reversal signal here too, guys. I just want you to be clear. You see a 30-minute signal here. If that can cross up into positive territory, that can cross this high, guess what? This 2 hour is going to have a little bit more steam behind it. Now, what we would say is this is our sell zone. So if this gets a big reaction, look for that weekly expected move, look for this area, and then look for the breakdown area, which is pretty obvious, I think. I think the breakdown area is pretty obvious. It's going to be this level right here, 427. Sure, probably. And I think Zuckerberg's come out and said some good things, actually. I think he's calmed down a little bit because of recent events, and I think he's making some decent moves. He's always been that kind of guy. He makes decent moves in the background, and nobody really believes in it, but you know, everyone thought Facebook would be dead like 10 years ago. Pullback here would be nice for this guy. Palantir down 1.07. And then we just got to see if volatility is curling down on that 30-minute. It is. So now that you've curled down on the 30-minute, you got to watch out because you don't have much room before that 2 hour curls down. That means a daily pullback can happen. This pretty much is saying we could actually experience some kind of squeeze for a short term to the 200, and then you want to see if that curls below that 200, because if it does, you might head down towards that 1212. And then from that area, you know what we need to pay attention to, something that we don't mention a lot, is if this it takes a lot of time, right? If this really takes a lot of time, what if this 50 crosses back below that 200? The crash signal would be gone. Now that's going to take a lot of time. You notice how much time it took to cross through it, so it's going to take a lot of time to cross back down. Short Fridays with the super chat. Got to support the team. Putty from Seinfeld. Hey, thank you so much for the $10 Short Fridays. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for liking and subscribing too, even if you're not donating. Liking, subscribing, doing all those good things, talking in the chat. Great way to support the channel. But thank you so much for the $10 Short Friday. And he pulled off the name change, unlike Musk. I hated the name change from... Who else hated the name change from Musk? Who else hated the X? I thought Twitter was a great name. I think Twitter has a great logo. And now it's just an X. I don't like it. I'm not gonna lie. I do not like it. I used to be in marketing for so long, right? I worked with like the top marketing firm in my city, the most funded television advertisement spender in Kansas. And I'm just going to say that's a bad move. This X is just here's what I think they need to fix about social media and paying people for posts. And I think this is the big problem with Twitter right now. Or sorry, I mean X is people get paid for impressions. And I think if you are getting paid for impressions, I think that's perfectly fine. But if you post things, it should be like a strike system. If you post things that are blatantly false, right? Like I'm talking blatantly false. Blatantly false. Like, oh, the grass is always black. I think that if you do that enough times, you should get strikes, and then you should get demonetized. I'm not saying you should take their right to speak, but I don't think you should be monetized for purposely saying things that are blatantly false and proven to be false, unless you correct those statements, right? If you can correct those statements, maybe with an update or something like that on those posts, I think that would be how you kind of deter the strike system. But we have way too many people out there just saying absolutely psychotic things that are blatantly untrue, and they get paid for it, and it gives incentive for you to keep saying things that just cause a reaction and cause confusion. And everyone, my buddy comes at me, you know, my cop, he comes at me and he's like, well, you don't want to censor. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to censor. I'm saying I don't want them to monetize, right? I don't want to monetize things that are blatantly untrue and provably untrue. And you give them the opportunity, even with those strikes, maybe those strikes could be taken away if they themselves report, because you're pretty much a journalist at that point if you're reporting those kinds of things. It's like you pretty much should have the opportunity to take a strike away by updating that post or making an update post connected to that one. But I just don't like how we incentivize just saying things that are blatantly untrue. I'm not talking about the confusing stuff either. I'm more talking about, like, if you are an account that you have the little fact checker popping up on every single post, you probably shouldn't be getting paid for those posts. That's all I'm saying. But I think you should be able to go out there and lie, EDJ. You should be able to go out there and lie. But you should not get paid to lie. Lying is free speech. But why would you give someone incentive to keep doing that? You know what I'm saying? Hey, as long as you give them the return on their money, short Fridays is what it is. The thing is about marketing, what you need to understand is, as well with marketing, is you pay what the person sees as the value of the product. That's most of the time what it is. When it comes to services, you don't want to. I'm someone who's very moral with it. I actually left that position because they were charging old people more money for social media just because they had no idea what it was. And I was like, that's fine, but we're not doing more work for them. So I didn't feel comfortable charging the amount we were charging. And it was a big fight between me and my boss. And I actually left the firm because of that. Oh, Corey, I haven't covered it. Actually, I will go look at CrowdStrike. Let's go look at CrowdStrike real quick. Ooh, okay, daily. This looks like 2 hour curled up. All right, this is great. I actually really like this little scoopy behavior. And you actually retested a very good level down here. You notice this. We come up, where do we go? Well, we do this, we get the handle, we try to break out, doesn't happen. So what do? Well, we dip down to find more buyers. We kind of V-shape. We get this little dip down, break out above. So since you broke out above without creating a handle, right? You can see how we wanted to create a handle here. You see that dip down. You kind of broke out without creating the handle. You're kind of making that right now. But since you're making it right now and this was a strong move, I'd like that reaction up to this area. See if it can create the handle like this. But in this area, this would, even if it broke out, maybe on the bigger time frames, you could see a bigger move on even more than the 2 hour. So I like that. I like that our 206.67 was hit. That's fun. The daily scale is rejecting and turning right back up. So one thing to watch out for, the 200, right? You're still below it. You're in something funky here. Great morning. I don't necessarily like that look too much as far as the structure on the daily scale. I'm not necessarily liking that too much. Why are all my drawings so big and so red all the time? Not really liking this. Could mean something like this is coming. But for the most part, I think you're making a bunch of cup and handles all around. I think right now you're just seeing maybe more of a 2 hour that's going positive. I really would have liked to see this a couple days ago. A couple days ago, you could have just said, hey, 2 hour swing trade, right? You could have made a range for this week. The range could be at 310. You see that curl up, that goes like this, hits 310, and then it sells down for a bit. You watch out for divergence in case that daily crosses back down, bad things, right? So if we saw this a couple days ago, that would have been a better time to do the analysis. Right now, you're kind of hoping from the bullish side that you get up to this area, maybe see a 30-minute pullback, and then curl up into positive territory. I know. That is very true. Today is October 7th. That bad attack did happen on October 7th. You are correct. We do not like to see or hear or see. I guess we did see it. We don't like to hear about those attacks. We don't want those attacks to happen. But the world seems like a unpeaceful place for the last 3.5 years for some reason. Corey, I hope that was helpful. It's not like the best. It's more of like a paying attention to swings, paying attention to patterns. I just wish we would have seen it a couple days ago. It's kind of a bummer because this crosses up. You go, oh, swing trade. What do we do? Well, we test the high. We go make a new one. If we can go positive, you're on positive. You're still close to the center line. So that's kind of a bummer. I just do this. See if it curls up to here. 30-minute pullback, turns up. See if it curls up to here. 2-hour pulls down. Not the same thing, right? Looks a little worse. Go check over on volatility was crossing on the 30-minute. See how the 2 hours not going to need much time after that 30-minute crosses. Let me go do this real quick over here. Just make sure. I'm going to keep this chart up. I really still want to look at Amazon. I'm blatantly like saying that Amazon looks like an okay opportunity. Remember, you got to manage trades. Microsoft looks like an okay opportunity. Netflix does not. Yeah, if you don't know, I really like these looks. I really like this one. Even if you did go down a little lower. Where to? Yeah, even if you went about 1 point lower. Is there? Yeah. Even if you went to this level, like 180.45, just a tiny bit lower. Tiny bit lower. And then you see that cross up. Ooh, that would look pretty nice on this MACD. That would look pretty damn good. You can start to reject on the 2 hour and just turn up. I think if that would happen, I think you do have a good likelihood to maybe even get above something like 186. Where could we really get to? Oh, yeah. Actually, if that happens, you see something massive. That actually could get a good reaction. Did we ever fill that? Was that a gap? Yeah, something like this, like 191 would be fantastic. If you see that real strength there, we really get that springboard up. Kind of do this, maybe even treat it like a double bottom, just take like a little measurement. Let's chop that wick a little bit. I like to not be too gracious. Yeah, I like that. 191 for Amazon, if it can really produce the right. This hasn't happened yet. We're just planning out the trade a little bit, right? It's good to plan out the trade, but I really like that look. Volatility is crossing down on the 30-minute. So what does that tell us? 30-minute pullback is the most likely thing. 30-minute pullback. You see if you guys can tell, my mental for this market now is I'm starting to be like, I want to make some real good money now. For some reason, I have this feeling I'm like, I'm going to make some real good money soon. Like really, really good, like better than ever. So I'm trying to just keep my energy real low, real mellow. Just really looking at the signals, being like, okay, this is the same pullback. If volatility drops a little bit lower, the 2 hour can cross down. That can curl down the daily scale, meaning we could see some kind of mini squeeze again if that continues to cross the volatility down on the daily scale. A little bit bigger squeeze. And then if that can cross through the 200, a little bit bigger squeeze. So you can see why I'm being a little bit chill. I'm trying to be like just calm with it. Look at things a little bit calm. Be like, all right, let's just pay attention in case these things happen. And look at this, the 30-minute has not crossed down for the SPY. And if you look at the 2 hour, that's a bigger time frame. It's just going positive a little bit ago. So that's telling me the most likely thing is something like this. Maybe you go like that, right? Test your breakout area, which actually I kind of want to put the same thing we put on the futures on here as well. I just want to make that trend between these highs. That's a too thick of a line, man. And also, why is it not blue? Usually it changes every time I do it, but it's too thick of a line. Actually, on this, you might be able to ignore the wicks. I don't like that. I'm doing the wicks. All right, and now we can see it. Now you do have that opportunity if this wasn't it, right? Even though the futures, it really looks like it was, you still have that opportunity maybe to get that later on, right? But we're still just looking for some kind of consolidation here. If this is already it, awesome. Awesome. We're going to see it break through, maybe a retest, see what happens, but Tesla actually doing okay, really seeing a drop, and then it hasn't curled down on this 30 minutes. So unless that curls down, if that curls down 30 minute, drops down into this zone, that would be the signal to save it. If that signal doesn't pop up though, a little worried about Tesla. But I assume that since we've reacted all the way up to here, it would be very unlikely, I think, to just do that unless something really bad happened. I mean, obviously we have that going on. So if this crosses, I have to pay attention to it. That's going to be a pretty big measured move. So I think you want to hold up here. Yeah, volatility is starting to drop a little bit. TLT. We don't want to pay attention to a 30-minute signal for the 10-year. Sorry if I lagged there for a second. We're actually reacting up towards our 4.062. Are we going to reinvert these yields? They're getting close. Oh my. They're getting close to reinversion. Why would we need reinversion? Are we about to? No. People I think are thinking inflation's coming back in. CPI might mess with that. Dollar's still relatively flat. We're not really seeing it come down dramatically with the market. We would like to see that happen, but we're also not seeing a rigged move or a rigged behavior anywhere in the PCC. Really just seeing that right in the middle. You want people to mainly think this thing's going down in order to see these signals fully play out, but I do like this look from Amazon. I do like it. Pay attention. There might be a trade set up today, right? This might actually confirm today. It would mean there's an opportunity. Always got to manage the trade. We talked about in the courses down in the description. For the 10-year, you can just go up here and type US 10-year, no spaces. US 10Y, sorry, US 10Y, no spaces. Oh, and then the ticker for the 10-year, I think is TNX. TNX, if you want to trade it. TNX. Is DJT still going? It is still going. Wow. Okay, so this is where we said the consolidation is likely to take place. This is where you really want to create structure. I mean, unless you're seeing something crazy, you don't want to get overzealous. This is really where you want to see that consolidation. This is the last real breakdown area before this one, obviously. We got to there, consolidate, cross up. So that's great. This is great. This is a great place to consolidate. Now we're doing this. So what I want to see here is if this is going to be a major bottom, do we get some kind of 30-minute or 2-hour pullback, just a 30-minute one, or do we get a 2-hour one to go back down into that zone? Notice we came out of it. Can we dip down into it to really break through? That would be nice for a trade setup, because right now this is hard on the shorter time frames to be like, yeah, I want to jump in, right? The 2 hours way up there. I'd like consolidation, even if it's just on a 30-minute. Kind of carve out something in here, use this as liquidity. You got the big dip down. You got actually a great little cup and handle in here to go higher. This would be great. Really give you that liquidity grab in that area. I really like that. Oh, TNX doesn't show infidelity. I have not traded TNX, I'm not gonna lie. I look at it every once in a while, but yes, yeah, sorry. No. So the way that you're in it, it depends on how you look at it. So I'll show you something real quick, right? Let's look at volatility, right? This is showing a probably hourly divergence. That can be late if you're doing a bigger time frame, but as you can see, if this 2 hour crosses and then that says, hey, that's going to cross the daily, it depends on how long you're taking out the option, right? That's why I'm a position trader, right? A lot of the time, the minimum I'm taking is 2 weeks. So if I'm going to take this trade for volatility with this big steep divergence we got here, right? You can see that steepness on the MACD. We see that steepness on the RSI. If I'm going to take something with this, I could look at something like a shorter time frame, and I could say, hey, this is really, really tight. So if that's going to cross soon, maybe that's going to cross here, I could do something like that. But what I like to do is, even if I waited for this confirmation, what is likely to happen over the next, say, 5 trading sessions for volatility if this crosses down? It's going to get reactions, little reactions and stuff like that, most likely. But if this were to cross down, right, then the daily has a chance to roll over. And look how far away that is from crossing. So if you really zoom out on things, you can save yourself a lot of turmoil and be like, okay, that 2 hour cross, I just have to manage the trade until I see that daily cross. And then I go, okay, this thing's probably going down to the 200 and I can hold that for a few more days, right? Depending on what you're trading, depending on how far out that option is. But no, 30, like divergences, that's all I take, man. That's like my best strategy. I love it. I swing trade too, but I love that strategy. So with something like Amazon, right? This daily might cross up. It's positive territory. This 2 hour might cross the center line, right? This might reject here. Would this be late? Well, for the entire week, you have that weekly expected move. What if that weekly expected move is all the way at these highs? What if it's at 194 and then this crosses up and you have a 3 week, a month out option for a little 30-minute divergence? And you go, okay, that crossed up. And then that ends up going like this over 2 weeks. Well, over 2 weeks, that's going to get more valuable as long as you didn't do like that first, right? This would be more a bad thing to happen. So it's pretty much like, if you consider, like if this would cross up, it'll probably be somewhere around here. If you consider this late, then you're probably taking out too short of an expiration, because this is not late by any means. This is like really freaking early for a 30-minute. And then I'll show you something else here. We'll prove it on Amazon. Look at the 2 hour here. Look at this trade. Let's say we took it right at the cross. The cross was here at 192.72. Let's say I had a month out option because of 2 hour divergence. Right? We didn't have to manage anything really, right? We never saw that really curl back up. So the 2 hour just dropped. It just kept dropping, kept dropping, kept dropping. This was an easy trade, right? So Onda, I get it. Sometimes some stocks, and maybe that's where, if you're trading those stocks that have a ton of volatility in them, ones that really move really fast, that's why I like to look at things like Amazon, Google, Apple, because those things move fast, but a little bit slower than something like DJT right now. Right? DJT, it would be hard to get into a trade right now because it's moving fast. What I want to look for are those stocks that have good moves, but move in a steady pace. And that's why I look at these type of stocks. Does that make sense? Oh, no, I want to make sure that makes sense. And a way that you can really deter that too, something you can practice, Onda, is looking for ones that have a 2 hour divergence and then looking for a 30-minute divergence behind it. So something like Palantir would be something to watch over the next few days. Because look at this 2 hour divergence. Very significant. But I want to say this. Am I just going to take this if it crosses over? Or can I try to get the best position since that's far away from crossing, right? That's going to take almost a full day's worth of selling. Like 8 straight hours of selling for that to cross. And by that time, it might have already been a big move. So you can pay attention to that, right? If it's way down here. So what do I want to do? I want to see if there's weakness in here. I want to see if there's weakness in this MACD. You know what I'm saying? So what I'll look for is, what if I just sit and I say, hey, you know, I know that the better trade setup, yes, a 2 hour signal, 2 hour divergence is good. You know, it would be great? A 30-minute signal behind it. So in this area, as we're consolidating, we're not dropping dramatically here. Let's see if that 30 minutes, since it's very, very positive, very high up, is that really likely to crash down from here? It can. It can. But if that were to go like this a little bit longer and then curl back up and then show that, then I would say, okay, now I see weakness on the 30-minute scale closer to the center line. I can get in early before that 2 hour crosses. And I'm not getting in early on the 2 hour trade. I'm getting into a 30-minute trade. I'm getting into a 30-minute trade that, if that selling continues, can confirm a 2 hour trade. And now I have a fantastic position, right? I encourage you, Onda, I believe you've taken the course, go check out the golden setup section. And if you just wait for those, not even the full golden setup, but at least 2 of those signals, at least 2, it will really play out for you more often, right? So there was a time that when I was first testing these strategies, I was doing them all the time, and that's where I started to realize, okay, I need to take profit a little bit earlier if I'm just taking one signal. That's where I started to realize, okay, if there are multiple signals at the same time, those play out way, way, way more often, like 90% of the time. So if you really wanted to be a safe, good trader and you're planning on trading for, say, like the next 10 years, and you'd say you have a small amount of money, practice patience. You can, once you have more money, you can really practice risk managing with your position sizing. But if you have low amounts of money, you want to say, okay, let me wait for great signals so every trade I have has a very, very, very high probability. And that would be looking for multiple signals on multiple time frames, finding where there's weakness in a 2 hour turn up. Okay, there's weakness there, but there's a 2 hour divergence. Let me see if there's weakness in that with a 30-minute. That will really help you out. I'm going to go use the restroom real quick, guys. I'm going to leave you guys over on the SPY. We got to be paying attention to that. Volatility, we got to be paying attention to that. So I'm going to leave you guys on the SPY for just a moment here. I'm going to go use the restroom, and I will be right back. Let's see if this happens today, as the futures already pulled this back. All right, be right back. Oh, and also, Onda, I just wanted to add before I go, you don't want to do that too low, right? You can. I've done that before. I've been pretty good at it, like going really, really low, but it's going to take a lot of time to get used to it. I encourage just more so trusting a 30-minute, 2 hour, and daily. Don't try to go into 5-minute, because you can see 6 divergences before something plays out. So it's more just 30 minutes the lowest I want to look at, and then I can manage that. If there's a 2 hour behind it as well, that's great. All right, be right back. All right, sorry about that, guys. We are back. Just so you know we're back, we're gonna take that off. We're gonna put this on. All right, let's see if this 30-minute crosses down. Even if it does cross down, we could dip into here, right? We still have a daily expected move. So that could go all the way down. Remember, this wick happened. So that would still make sense. That would still make a ton of sense. To do that, curl down, curl back up. We'll see. But as volatility has crossed down on the 30-minute, a little less likely to dip really, really low. If it curls back up, we got to change our thinking. EQs. I feel like the Q's daily expected move is closer. I wonder what the, was that true in the implied volatility? No. Oh wait, for the daily, let me see. Yes, it was. Okay, it was true. So the Qs can hold up a little better than the SPY this time. You don't see that too often, actually. Usually the Qs always have more implied volatility. This is one I'm really watching. Really watching. And the best part about Amazon, we're going to talk about this probably on Patreon. I might even take some screenshots here for Patreon because that's a decent look. Screenshot this. Now let's give the Patreon boys something to look at today. Amazon and Microsoft are the two. I know we're doing this live, but it's just the setup's happening live, so let's give some Patreon members. That's right, Patreon members. I'm gonna try to be better about doing this, giving you guys those setups. So please think about joining the Patreon because that's where I'm gonna post things that I really like. It just happens to be happening during a live video, so you get a little cookie today on the live video. These are the two setups I really enjoy right now. I like it. Go, guys. All right. Microsoft and Amazon. Amazon's seeing some decent bottoming here, so we'll see if I can curl back up. I really like that look. And if Amazon and Microsoft are going to be positive, that's going to be a pretty good thing for the Qs. Tesla is curling down on the 30-minute as of right now. That could lead us into these areas. If we go towards a weekly expected move, that's not going to be a good sign, but if you can hold up in this zone, that is something that you can look out for. But I think Amazon and Microsoft look like the better setups in my opinion. Is volatility still curling down? It is. But the dollar is starting to scale up a little bit. We'll see if that can remain positive on the 2-hour. I do still believe consolidation looks pretty good here for the dollar. And just to let you know, there are times where the dollar scales up dramatically and it takes a while for that to hit the tape, right? I think at this moment here, by the way, I think we went up for a long time and the market continued to head higher. And then during this last push higher, these like moments up in here, we actually saw the market go down. And then once the dollar actually subsided, we saw the market actually base out and head back up. So it can take place for a long time. So we could end up all the way up here before we actually see some kind of drop from the actual market. Let's go check out the Dow. The key thing with the Dow is the daily scale is turned down. You have some significant divergences. The only problem with all these divergences is if you look at it, we really have consolidated here, right? We've consolidated pretty well. SMCI is up 13%. Let me go look at that. Holy crap, SMCI. SMCI rejection divergence here, confirming as of right now. Wow. That is a great, great look there for a daily scale. Tells me maybe we can go test the 200. I think a reaction from this, if we're going to hold this, 63.23 would be fantastic if we can break through these levels, 63.23. And if we're going to head higher from there, I really like this level because this would be consolidation to get you above that 200. Do something like this. And then you're pretty much praying earnings are good, right? Earnings is a 50-50 flip. Technicals are rough during earnings unless you're seeing like a golden setup like we talked about with Apple a long time ago. Right down here before Apple earnings, we saw pretty much the golden setup down here. Right, it was a little wonky, but we pretty much saw the golden setup here. That's what we talked about in the course, and this is what I'm talking about with Onda earlier. If you really look for those golden setups, you can see great moves. Look at that. Month out option, 2-month out option for Apple because of the golden setup here, the daily scale. It might look like, oh man, I'm taking a price point of 178 and this is all the way down towards 164 or something like that. But if it produces, man, and you see earnings didn't really affect it. That's why I like golden setups. We used that in the past as well to find the bottom in October of 2023. We saw the golden setup right here as well. So look at the golden setup plays. This was a golden setup. This was a golden setup. If that's not convincing you to take the course while it's $100, then I don't know what will, man. Because not a lot of people taking advantage of that over the last couple of weeks. So you might have to put that up towards some real value there because it's a valuable thing. These two trades here probably would make thousands on thousands of dollars out of those two trades. The course is only $100, so we might increase that to about $400 soon. Still be at a discount, 60% off. Leave it at a discount for the year, and we'll see in 2025. But yeah, you see how those play out. So if you see any of those with earnings, that's more what I'd be paying attention to. Golden setups with earnings. If I don't see a golden setup at earnings, I'm usually not doing anything with it. All right, volatility is starting to drop a little bit. So now you see how close the 2 hour is to crossing, right? So this is becoming a kind of faded green bar. So that means 2 more hours, like after this post. So in 15 minutes, that post. 2 hour bar here, you can confirm divergence, so we'll see if that happens. Which tells me maybe I need to pay attention to the futures market, right? Maybe this 2 hours is going to curl up for the futures market at the same time and really say, hey, we are heading higher. And some stocks giving you those signals that, hey, it is going to head higher, that VIX should be crossing down, is Amazon, is Microsoft. Look at that. So if those happen at the same time, that's plenty of reasons for me. I will be making some moves. If you didn't notice, I was clicking on my computer earlier. Maybe I was setting up some plays here for 2 certain stocks, or maybe even volatility, who knows? As far as the returns are concerned, it still should react in the similar percentage. It's just they might cost more. Oh, good, Ifoma. I'm sorry, I didn't. Sorry, Ifoma, I didn't see the comment above. I'm kind of looking at stuff. I really want to pay attention to signals that I see are good. You see, I'm trying to be more calm and be like, I really want to be paying attention to those signals that I see as good, because I think there's a good opportunity over the next couple of days for us to head higher, actually, if these things confirm. Obviously, there's a way down. I know how to react to that, but I just want to pay attention. A lot of people talking about October being the worst month, so I just want to be paying attention to some signals here. But yeah, I'm glad that answer got there. I'm sorry about that, Ifoma. IV, for the most part, the options can be more expensive with higher IV. You can see bigger moves with higher IV. That's why they can be more expensive as well, because the options market is pricing in a bigger move, right? So they can be more expensive. But that's pretty much what IV, implied volatility, the best thing you can take away from it is the options might be a tiny bit more expensive, and you can see bigger moves, which means those ranges are really spreading out, right? It doesn't mean it doesn't mean bullish, it doesn't mean bearish. It means IV just means bigger move. If the signal is bullish, you can see a bigger move to the upside. If the signal is bearish, you can see a bigger move to the downside. And then watch out if that thing curls up, because that could swing up really, really fast because implied volatility is higher. So it just tells you react a lot of the time, because you're going to be playing something with bigger moves. My thoughts on TLT are, I feel like we're pricing in like CPI is going to be bad. Like we're about to like reinvert these. Look at this. 2-year, 10-year look like they're about to reinvert. That's kind of crazy. But reinversion would lean us towards bullishness, right? So it's kind of like people are pricing in that inflation is back, because those rates are really going up pretty quick. Maybe it's because of the port workers strike, right? That might have caused a little bit of inflation. Maybe it's because of these wars going on. Maybe that's causing a little bit of inflation around the world. We'll have to see. Now course time, Christopher. That's awesome. That's fantastic. And thank you for saying that. Yeah. We don't talk about IV too much in the course, but you'll see it in the ranges. That is a very good question. But my thoughts on TLT, I don't see signals for TLT. I saw a great signal a little bit ago, and this is a trade that I actually took a while back. I just sold it a little bit early. I kind of got out of all the contracts because I did not believe, and I think we had 30-minute signals in here. I did not believe that this would keep dropping. But this was a great signal. So as you can see, this is the last time we really had a good signal. Steep divergences here, triple divergence for the RSI. Okay, and this actually came outside of a weekly expected move. That's why I took the trade. And you'll see 2-hour cross down right here. And someone was asking, getting in early to something. I don't think there was a 30-minute divergence here, or at least I don't believe so. Let me see if there was. Was there a 30-minute that I got into on this one? Oh, there was. Okay, so I got in right here. See how I use the, because I know I got in on a 30-minute divergence if it's there, guys. The 30-minute right here was that I actually sold out at this low because I thought we would get some kind of bounce. So this is why I sold a little bit early. What I should have done was, if I was nervous about a bounce or something, I should have sold a few contracts, left a few runners, right? And then once I see that curl up, I can take all my profit here and then look for bounces and things like that. But yeah, so this was the overall signal here. You got 30-minute divergences across top, 2-hour behind it. Notice that it's playing out very well. That's why that's a good tip. And we talk about it in the course when we go over the golden setup. For the time being, though, do we have any of those? So what I'm looking for here, since you asked about it, Dave, this here, do we see this in the opposite direction, right? We're seeing if this can base out. Do we see it in the opposite direction? We saw it right here, and then it kind of failed, right? It failed. So very difficult trades in there. I actually didn't take anything here because the daily crossed down over in this area. So right here, we want to say, is this actually giving basing out signals right now? It's not. It's not, right? There's no reversal signal. Now you can catch some kind of bounce. We could see something sporadic happen. I think CPI might shut down all of this, hey, rates need to go higher thing. We'll see about that. But for the most part, just, and we might get another cut over the next month or so. So we'll pay attention to that, but no reversal signals here. So I'm not really paying attention to it for a trade, right? I can just quickly look at this, go, oh, no reversal signals. Okay, what does Amazon? Okay, has that confirmed? No. So this is something I'd more be watching. But I don't see it in the 10-year either, right? 2 hours. I don't have a hint with the 10-year either. It's just dramatically up. We're heading up towards our 4.062 level. Well, yeah, they've turned up, but has the signal confirmed, right? I'm trading based on signal, so I have to actually see the signal confirm. It's almost like, it's a good way to think about it is the signal doesn't exist until it confirms, right? I can see, it's kind of like if I'm baking a cake. If I'm baking a cake and I have all the ingredients together, I'm just missing the oven part. You know what I'm saying? If I'm doing that, and let's say, I don't know, what I'm trying to get at here is if I'm baking a cake or something like that, and I say that the cake's done before it's in the oven, then there's tons of stuff that could go wrong. What if my power goes out? What if this happens? What if that happens? What if I made a mistake in making the cake? You know what I'm saying? So I have to see these things actually confirm because they don't exist. And the cake doesn't exist when it's batter, right? The signal is here, it is forming, it is in the process of baking, right? Or it's in the process of me getting it together, seeing it get together, seeing it come together, seeing how that cake can form, can complete. But it's not in the oven yet. I need to see it in the oven. And then even when it's in the oven, I have to pay attention if something's going wrong because the cake isn't there until the oven has finished cooking it. I don't know if that was a good analogy, but it's what came to my head, and it made sense to me. Palantir dropping another few percentage points here. Got to see if that 2 hour crosses. I still think... Yeah, they're like, wait, he's talking about this guy's baking cakes and stuff during stream? Can I have some? I don't even like cake that much. My mom thought I was weird because I don't like cake too much. Max Payne, we can take a look at that actually. I'm down to look at some Max Payne. And the other thing is too, like even something like, something like Amazon, it's still not at a weekly expected move yet. It's close, it's just not there. So I like these reverse signals at a weekly expected move because that means the options market can start to step in, right? You've hit their targets. You know what I'm saying? So this, what if this made like a little 5-minute divergence behind the fit 30-minute divergence behind something else, right? Behind a 2 hour swinging up or rejection. So this is flagging, so this could easily drop down. So have I taken this trade yet? No. The 30-minute hasn't confirmed. We said that on the Patreon too. If you read... Don't just look at the signal, see it, go look at a chart, right? Read what I put because I put in there, make sure to wait for confirmation, right? Things can scale up pretty quickly to the downside. Still, volatility is turned up on the daily scale, right? What we've been saying in a lot of YouTube videos lately is, yes, you can take upside plays, but volatility is turned up on the daily scale with a crash signal behind it. Kind of like we talked about, hey, things play out better when you have a signal behind a 2 hour, 30-minute behind a 2 hour. Okay, cool. So now that I know that, maybe I need to take that into everything else. Everything else would be, well, volatility is still this, so I need to be careful for upside plays. So am I going to hold this until it goes to 194 if it does? No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take profit earlier because volatility is still turned up. I just want to do that, look for the next trade. All right, SPY starting to turn down a little bit here, so we'll see if volatility can curl back up on this 30-minute. We'll see if that can cross down on the 30-minute scale. Kind of a boring little minute here, kind of a boring period of time, honestly. HGX, something interesting here, some reversal signals here for HGX, which actually is a good thing for the market. You know, this is screaming crash right now. So if you really want to see the market remain healthy, I would say, well, then you want this to be able to retake a key level here, and that's going to be somewhere right around this 805, 804 level. That was really our breakdown level, in my opinion. So if we can get that little 30-minute rejection divergence to turn up that 2-hour, that would be a good sign. And then you just want to make sure this is taking back, as it is deeper into negative territory, you want to make sure that's taking back these levels up here, 804, 805. If it can take that back, get that continued strength, react down, and use it as support, that would be a better look for the housing sector. It's a bad look for the housing sector, I just want to be clear. Has the volatility confirmed a 2-hour divergence yet? No, it has not. Max pain for the day, looks like we have a lot of puts, right? 550, 2.11 put call ratio for max pain. 550 is the key level to pay attention to. The first put wall is going to be at, well, from where we're at now, the first put wall would be 565. Excuse me. So 565 is your put wall. You have about 14,000 contracts there. The big put wall, here, I'll just pull it over so you can see it for the day. The big put wall is going to be 550. But you can see we're already past this one, so that can shoot us down to 565. But 565 market makers, as the expected move is here and 565 is below that, market makers most likely would not like to pay out any more people past that level. So 565, if we start to drop, might be a good one to pay attention to. Obviously, we got to see if that's curling down the 2-hour if we get down in those areas, but the 30-minute hasn't even crossed yet. But it has crossed for volatility. It's crossed down for volatility. So this is still saying positivity, most likely options still. And you got good little reversals here forming if they can complete. And NVIDIA is a little overexcited in my opinion, so that one could see a pullback. That would be good. Amazon could go react down to the weekly expected move first. Let's go over to the Qs. We haven't looked at that in a minute. That's not curled down either. You've really got some good bars in here, some thick bars in a key area like this. And we just took back the breakdown area. Notice we gapped above it. That's kind of crazy there. Reaction to 490.50 would be nice. Just make sure no big news is coming out. Everyone's talking about Hillary Clinton and how she said we have to control what people say or else we lose all control. And I'm like, man, you just said the quiet part out loud, lady. MSTR is trending. Let's go look at that. Ooh. So there isn't a 30-minute great signal here. You have divergence maybe all the way across, but this blip here kind of makes it so like this could all just be, and it's far up on from the center line, so this could be a pullback coming. But if that pullback's too much, you see the 2-hour signal, right? So we know how to react whether this curls up on the 30-minute, but if the 2-hour curls down, not the best look for MicroStrategy. But there's no 30-minute real good reversal signal. There's not really a 30-minute good reversal signal. So I think you have the opportunity to pull back, maybe fill a gap, and then turn up. And if you see something like this, that's more what I'd be paying attention to. That's when weakness can come in. Is SMCI still doing good? 13%, baby. DIA, not able to curl fully down yet. Two-hour was able to curl down for DIA though. On the futures. This had the 30-minute signal, flat divergences. We could reach down one more time. That's curled down. It's positive though. It's pretty good positive. So curl up would be nice. Reaction to this level would be great. You see the structure we could form there. Boom here. Nice head. Get up to there. Curl down. Curl back up. Get to that weekly expected move going into the end of the week. That would be fantastic for IWM throughout the week. Cool, cool. We're holding up. Hector, you want to look at Toast real quick? I don't think we've ever looked at that, so I'm intrigued. What the heck is this? Toast? Okay, first of all, great logo. First of all, fantastic logo. Love it. Okay. What is this company? Package software. God, if they would put a tiny little smiley face, almost like a squinty. I don't know why I get like a Japanese feel to it. So like just a couple of lines for eyes and like a little smile like this. That'd be great. I think that'd be a great logo. Like that, 30 minutes crossed down. So this has a similar to look to a Head and Shoulders, right? We've reacted to this area. It kind of looks like almost like the SPY. But you see this liquidity in here. That's juicy. This is pretty positive. So that's why I'm saying this looks juicy right now, right? We have this, we have a head. Then we could make that right shoulder. So it looks like we're trying to form that right shoulder. If that's going to play out, 30-minute can cross up. You might see a solid move, retest that area, and continue that positive trend over time. Let's keep it simple. That's what it looks like. That is something true. Short Fridays, that crisis can really affect things. And I think this is the other thing too, which I think is interesting. So Elon Musk has done a lot of work to help those communities with Starlink. And we noticed that we saw some weird things happening with Tesla before all of this happened. I think someone knew about it before it happened. I think they knew it would be that bad. I'm intrigued to go look at the options data. This is starting to go negative, which starts to add more probabilities the longer we don't hold up to go into this zone. The signal I'd look for reversal is some kind of divergence down here in some way, right? See if that forms. If we start to really cross down, right, we're rejecting on the 2-hour. I still think a divergence would form here, but since we are breaking down, you have to pay attention because this is a cup and handle, and if that's not a fake out, you can head all the way down to probably something like 226.70, 226.75. So you really want this to hold up if you're a Tesla bull. Like, you want it to hold up today. 2-hour not crossing down for the SPY, 30-minute not crossing down for the SPY. Did it cross for the Qs? No, it's actually wicking up a little bit. So the next 30 minutes might be pretty damn important. I'm trying to stay on a little bit longer here. Thanks, that's what you saw. Okay, cool, Hector. Yeah, I think it's a cool look. What a fun morning. Hope you're all doing well. I think it's fun. I think it's a good morning. There's some cool little, like, the cool part about today is we're forming a lot of structure. Carvana might have topped. I'm down to look at that. I like me some Carvana. Ooh, that's a lot of wonky divergences. See if that 30-minute crosses down. That's not the best sign, but you've seen this keep just like getting those little curl ups, like squeeze type behavior. And then if that 30-minute curls down too much, you might curl this 2-hour. That's not the best look. Still a little far away from the center line, right? You notice we curled up back in the past, like a look similar to this. This little curl down here, it led to some upside. So we got to see if that's going to curl back up. But as that divergence is formed, you'd pretty much say, hey, if this goes below this level here, about what, 167, 166, that little area down here, if it gets below that, you might be reacting for that negative trend to take place. So I'd think a 30-minute signal here could be something to pay attention to. You actually have divergence all across this thing. My goodness. Let's look at the daily. Daily, a bunch of multiple point divergence across this. So when it does fall, if it does cross on the daily scale, it still can curl back up. It's far away from that center line, but once it makes a divergence really close, that's when I pay attention. When's earnings? October 29. So it looks like maybe end of October, right? Everyone's fearful of October, so they just like push everything higher in October, convince everyone, oh, October's done, and then. But yeah, some good looks there. I like the 30-minute signal. Very difficult though, because it keeps curling back up, so make sure you're managing trades out there. You know how to do it, right? You took the course, you're good. Oh gosh, people from get a ton of sponsorships or people that want to sponsor me from like India and China and stuff. Someone tried to, the email looked really funky, so I didn't even respond, but someone tried to get me my own indicator. That would be amazing. If I could make if anyone knows how to make a good indicator, I can't program for shit. I tried to when I was young. I'm garbage. My brother might be able to do it, but it would be cool to make an indicator that like, just at least like a divergence indicator would be really, really cool, because then you could just use that indicator, see when it flashes green, see if it's by a weekly expected move, and that's pretty much a good strategy there. It does like half the work for you there. That'd be really cool, wouldn't it? Lux Algo would? Is it worth reaching out to Lux Algo? SPY bullish. I think right now more of the indicators are leaning towards bullishness, yes. Especially as we have seen volatility subside. Why would they're very good? Yeah, we can look into that. I just don't like, sometimes they want to price it at like, I think it's like $800 to $1,000 a year. I think that's a little steep. Maybe I'll do that. That sounds really cool. I'd love to have my own indicator. The money-making indicator. Holy crap, that's TM, trademarked. Nobody steal it. Yeah, so if the 2 hour curls down, I'm not taking calls on the SPY at all. No, that's a really bad look, because I want you to see, like up here, you're like, okay, I can be patient, right? I can be patient, because this could be a pullback. But down here, if that curls down, you're right by negative territory. I just want you to see how we consolidated. Look, when we went negative, was about this bar right here. We went negative. Look what happened next. Holy crap, bad things, right, Wellington? So yeah, I don't necessarily want to take a upside play if this 2 hour crosses down, because that just tells me, okay, that's going negative right here. And last time it added up to this, so that would maybe add up to this, and like down towards a monthly. I don't like that. Or it'd end up towards 561.05, down in these areas, down in these lows. Because it's really close to the center line, if that curled down, I'd be like, ooh, that's bad. But right now, this is a bullish signal. Okay, it's not bad at all, right? I'm just prepared if it gets bad. Oh, pullbacks are always possible, especially if you're seeing things overbought, but you want to see the short time frame first, because if it's really bullish, you could just see the shorter time frames do it. Yeah, we gotta look at some stuff real quick. Got to keep our eye on volatility. Just leaving you guys on the SPY on a 30-minute, because that's what you need to see first, right? If that 2 hour is going to cross down, the 30-minute is going to cross down first, by the way, right? That just makes sense. So I just want to make sure the 30 minutes crossing down first. That's why I'm paying attention mostly to a 30-minute. But the opposite side to this is actually volatility, right? Because volatility tracks the SPY. It tracks puts and calls in the S&P 500. So that would tell me I need to pay attention to volatility. That's already crossed. So how I know if the SPY is going to fall further is this is going to turn back up, or the SPY is going to cross down. One of those two things will happen first. But since this happened first, it's more likely to see this at least react down to 20, maybe even fill the gaps. Because weirdly enough, look at this. Remember we were talking about that funky behavior? You created a gap at the end of the day on Friday after the market closed, because this trades about 15 to 30 minutes after the market close. So kind of fishy there. That's why I brought it up a bunch, because that's fishy behavior. And notice volatility skyrocketed a little bit, 10%. That's a big move, but now we're starting to subside. We have to see if this can curl down a 2 hour. So pretty much as that bar went back to green here, now you've bought yourself another 4 hours to pay attention to this signal. But if that crosses, it's got divergence there. There's 30-minute behind this a little bit as well. If you look at the 30-minute, you kind of have multiple point. So that would just tell me, okay, if that 2 hour crosses, well, the daily scale can start to cross. If that daily scale crosses, I want you to notice you're getting tight. Okay, this is why you still have to be on edge, and why this could just be a mini squeeze like we talked about in the past. Right, remember we talked about like a mini squeeze here? Okay, now you can see a mini squeeze here. Okay, because look how it's getting tight. We had a huge swing, now we have a medium swing, now we have a small swing, and then we're gonna get really, really tight. And you see the Bollinger Band's proving that, right? Being very, very spread out, getting kind of medium. Then this part came up a little bit, and you're starting to close in the near price, or the near readings, not price action for the VIX. So the near readings are kind of coiling up here. So if we get one more reaction down like this, and this doesn't cross, we see some reversal signals here. That's when I think things can get a little bit ugly, and maybe that's mid-October. October can still be bad, even if we build good structure. We could just go up for a week and a half and then see something bad. Maybe we'll get a little hint from the signals on like a 30-minute, right? If this is not able to cross, and let's say we see a big move, and maybe this goes for a while, right? Maybe we just go bam, and then we curl down, and then we curl up, and then we curl down, and then next week we curl up, and maybe we end up seeing like this go a little higher, extend, right? Reject and extend, and then we see a little triple divergence. I think that would be a very good look. Because of, I just, when the crash signal is that stable for that long, that's when you really got to pay attention, right? We talked about the times, if you need to look at some macro videos, we talk about a lot, just look for those Saturday videos. We talk about it a lot, because a lot of the time, if you're not going to play out the crash signal, you're not going to see the 50 hold above the 200. This time you're seeing the 50 hold above the 200 for volatility, right? If we need to talk about that again real quick, I think it's a good thing to talk about. But this is the crash signal when that 50 crosses that 200. That's a big crash signal. It happened in almost every single crash. But the key thing is the 50 was always able to hold above the 200. So that's why if you go back in our videos, we say this right around here. This. When this crossed down, we said the 50 wasn't able to cross the 200, you're going to get a squeeze. This right here, when this crossed down, we said the 50 is not crossing the 200, you have divergence at the highs, you're going to squeeze. Way back in the past, right? We saw this. This one was a little bit worrisome, right? This one crossed down, we said there's divergence, watch out, because that could go react to the 200, watch if it bounces. Notice the dialogue changes, right? But then that crossed below the 200, and then once you get that crash signal unconfirmed, you're going, okay, we're probably in another bullish trend. But if you look back to, I think it's 2022, 2021, 2022, when we went through that bear market, look what happened. We held above the 200 for a long time. So that's why it says this is way different than what we've seen back in these areas. So that's why you got to pay attention to it. Does that make sense? Did everyone kind of catch that? That's true, EDJ. I kind of like that. That's perfectly fine too. Yeah. But yeah, I think that would be fine. I just don't think that if you're, because, you know, I think immigrants should vote. I think illegal immigrants should not vote. That's it. Like, I don't see how that's a hot take. I don't see how that's offensive in any way, but yeah, Social Security and things like that. And the funny part about that statement, though, EDJ, is remember I think it was like a month and a half ago, all the Social Security data got hacked. And so someone has all of the Social Security data right now. Why am I like leaning into the camera like this? I thought that was interesting. How's JP Morgan? Yeah, I'll look at Tigger in a second, Jeremiah. Just give me one moment. I think JP Morgan's interesting. Yeah, this is interesting. So what you're seeing is the daily cross up. And when you're seeing it at a very easy resistance, it could say, hey, maybe I'll scale in a little bit, but I'll look for a pullback to make that price a little bit better. For that price to be a little bit better. So what does the 30-minute look like here? Well, look at that. It's really, really high. So if I wanted to, I could take a little bit on that daily signal for the swing. But then I could also say, let me leave some money behind that I normally would put in, see if that 30-minute pulls back, because what you're doing here is getting to a key level. You could use this liquidity here to head higher, right? If I take a line, I go like this, I put it across. We got a little excited, so I'm going to make that like this. We got a little excited. What that tells me is if this does pull back and it's not dramatic and that can curl back up, maybe that's another scale in opportunity. Now, in that same vein, something that would cause me to get out of the entire position and not scale in is one, if this 30-minute did not curl back up, but more so if the 30-minute went so far down that the 2-hour crossed, that would save me from maybe taking a full position here. Does that make sense? Max effort, did you catch that? So do you see my thinking there? Because if this is going to form this right shoulder, I would even call it that, a right shoulder, most likely this 2 hour is not going to be able to fully cross. And even if it did, I can still react like that's bad. And if it crosses right back up, I can take the play, right? The only problem is around that time, if that all did form, we might have earnings coming out. A little bit rough with earnings, okay? You don't really have a golden setup here. So it would tell me maybe being a little bit cautious with my position sizing would be a good thing. Oil still going up, and the thing about oil going up is that is more towards the inflation play, and if oil is going up, weirdly enough, we could probably see the market go up. And I know that's crazy to say, but the 26th, 9, 18... But the reason I say that is just because, well, if other things are going, if inflation is going to come back in, then most likely we're going to do things to cause more inflation. But maybe I need to analyze that, so don't take that for 100%. I haven't analyzed oil enough in the past, I would say, 72 hours to fully comment on it. But what I need to do, if I'm going to fully have an assessment on this, is see that basing out and see how the market reacted to this upside. But you can see September 11th, September 10th. I just want you to see September 10th, we kind of bottomed out. September 11th, we fully saw that next move, right? We found the low on September 10th. Well, what happened in the market around September 9th? September 10th, we found the low on September 6th, and then we made that divergence. So you notice that the market went up with oil. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, if you're going to see things get more inflated, then you're going to see assets get more inflated, right? And that just makes, that's inflation to a T. Look how much inflation we've gone through. Has the market gone down or up? Just really take everything out for a second, use some common sense, take everything out, think simply. Okay, inflation was really high. Inflation still is high, right? We're still holding at that level. We haven't experienced deflation. So oil went to high prices, gold's at high prices, silver's going, well, relatively going up. What happened to assets, as in maybe the SPY and the Qs, just speaking generally? Well, it went up. So inflation will cause assets to inflate. suggest the best buys and sells. How's that work, Lizard? I'm interested. How's that working? I just want to know. Sometimes I feel like my voice is like, yeah, how's that working for you? No, I'm genuinely just like, no, how is it? Is it cool? Do you like it? Jeremiah, let's go look at that for you real quick. Tigger! Okay, UP FinTech Holding Limited. Okay. Whoa. Oh, freaking K. And this is where we can talk about something here because there is a signal here. Who sees it? Who sees the signal here? I freaking hope you saw it, Jeremiah. Because I was not paying attention to this, but I would have paid attention right here. And this is where we can talk about JP Morgan a little bit. Whoever asked about JP Morgan, let's talk about that. So this is a confirmation here of divergence for the daily scale at the low. Do you see that? You see the divergence? Because we take the close of the bar, this measures the close of the bar. That's key to understand. The close of the bar to create those divergences. So technically, this divergence at the lowest point was created actually from this point right here. All the way down. Look how steep that is. And you had it on both at the same time. Very, 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 very cool. Love it. Awesome. And look at that upside. You never curled back down on the daily. But we could talk about JP Morgan for a second because look how we consolidated when we saw that cross. We consolidated. So what can I look for on the daily scale? Well, what if there's just a little 30-minute pullback in there? Okay, I got to find the price where it did because this thing's crazy. But what's the price here? 382. 382. Now that's a little tricky, right? But you know you have daily momentum with you. So it'd be like, hey, I can take a shot with this. I can take a shot with this, see that curl down, that curls back up, maybe scale in a little bit more. Now that did curl down for a brief moment. Was that controlled or did it really break the low? There is some form of divergence here, so it is a little worrisome. But just know this too, and it's something that these things can be risky. Obviously, this is a very cheap one, so it can be risky, but just know that the daily momentum is still with you there. Even if this 2-hour curled down, it can curl right back up. So the 2-hour never curled down, so your management of the trade did not tell you to manage the trade, right? If you go look, Jeremiah, go check out the course right now. The course will tell you manage the trade. Sometimes it manages the trade and things play out to the upside and you're bummed out. But most of the time it will save you from big downturns when things aren't going to play out. Did this ever give you the management of the trade signal? No, it didn't. If you need to learn how to manage your trades for a daily trade, this is managing a trade for a daily trade. You can get that down in the description in the Using Technical Indicators course. It is probably my favorite portion of the course is the management of the trade part. Because if you can nail that down, you'll literally do better than 90% of traders, in my opinion. 90% of traders just use a stop loss, pick the last wick, and do it. That's it. And then the options market knows that that order's there, they shoot the market down, they wick it up, and they screw you over. If you learn how to actively manage your trade like I like to do, I am my stop loss. I pay attention to the signals. This never curled down. And notice it never told you to manage the trade. So technically you would still be in this to right now. Now I'd be probably taking a little bit of profit at this point. Just saying, that's just me. Pretty big move. A lot of money to be made there, so that would probably look pretty juicy. But it's not telling you to manage the trade. Never did. But that's kind of how I work with JP Morgan, right? We cross up and we go through a period of time where you're getting that cross up and maybe you need to consolidate. You can use that as a period of time to be like, is this going to just fall right back down or is this going to curl back up? And it curled back up and then the 2-hour never crossed. That's the key thing. The 2-hour never crossed. Happy Monday. How you doing, Z-Shotty? Alrighty, let's go check back in on something like Amazon. Still looking decent, a little bit flaggy, so watch out if that wants to drop just to go test that weekly move. The weekly move is below you by like 1.5 points or something. And then what was it? Microsoft. Now, Microsoft has more room. So if you're part of the Patreon, I talked about which signal I feel is better. You can go join the Patreon right now if you want to see that. It's down in the description. But I do have to hop off. I tried to stay on a little bit longer today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's stream. I do really appreciate it. You guys have been fantastic. I think we've talked a lot about some good stuff. I think there's some good signals out there. And if you want to see the signals I'm paying attention to, even though you probably saw it during this live video, you can go check out the Patreon. Obviously, in that, you're going to get a description of it. You have to wait for things to confirm. You have to be willing to trade like water. You have to be willing to manage a trade. Jeremiah, that was a fantastic signal, and you never had to manage the trade, so that's great. Love to see that. You love when a stock doesn't have you manage a trade. That is awesome, and you go, thank you, right? PCC kind of low, but the dollar is dropping as well, so I don't think we can read into it too much, but the dollar is consolidating, so we just want to see if that turns up at any time. For now, I think the big thing is, are we going to curl down on a 2-hour chart? I think that's going to be a big deal. Is volatility going to turn down on a 2-hour chart? I think that's the big deal there. Not necessarily paying too much attention to the dollar and the PCC. I will pay attention if it changes, if things start to go a little wacky throughout the day. Right? But for now, for the time being, at this moment, I think the more important thing is volatility going to turn down on this 2-hour over the next 2 to 4 hours? And that's kind of more so what I'd be paying attention to. You know what I mean? But thank you guys so much for joining today. I really, really do appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoyed the live stream. I hope you guys were able to maybe even learn something. If you want to learn a little bit more, those courses are down in the description for you. I've been talking a lot lately about taking that course, the super big discount away, right? We're trying to give it so people are able to get in at those cheap prices. So we'll see if we're going to keep that for a long time. I want to extend it to 2025, but make sure to get it if you're dedicating yourself to some learning. Really appreciate you guys being here. I think this was a fantastic stream. I had a lot of fun today. I think it was a little bit more calm, which I think I kind of like. It. So thank you guys for joining. Thanks for liking. Thanks for being a part of this community. And I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.